The Los Angeles Rams finished the 2022 season with a 5-12 record and missed the playoffs for the first time since 2019. They finished 27th in points per game, and it was a very ugly year coming off of a Super Bowl title. Although they are just a year removed from winning the title, their future is very, very concerning. As we all know, the Rams style of building a team and ultimately a contender, as this franchise has 7 playoff wins in the Sean McVay era, is unconventional relative to the other 31 NFL teams. They are a very star-filled team, and a lot of the strategy they use is something similar to what you would use on Madden, which, as simple as it sounds, is to acquire the best players possible. But eventually there's going to be a down year, or maybe, as we are about to see, a couple of down years after all of this. And in today's video, we are going to dive into why their future is so concerning. And we're going to break everything down from a roster standpoint and project what they can do moving forward. And without further ado, let's begin. And the first thing we are going to discuss in today's video is why this is not an overreaction to how their 2022 season ended. It's easy to say, okay, well, the Rams finished 5-12 because they had John Wolford and Bryce Perkins start games for them, and eventually Baker Mayfield, and just kind of leave it at that. But even when Matt Stafford was playing for the Rams in 2022, they were not a good team, and Stafford finished the year with a 3-6 record as a starter and threw just 10 touchdowns on over 300 passing attempts, which equates to him throwing a touchdown on just 3.3% of his passes. That was the lowest for him since 2012 when he was with the Lions, in which he would go on to throw 20 touchdowns on over 725 passing attempts at a rate of just 2.8%. What's particularly concerning about this is he threw 41 touchdowns in 2021 at a rate of 6.8%, which was the highest of his career. And for as good of a 2021 season as Stafford had, I don't think the expectation for him every year moving forward should be 40 plus touchdown passes to 10 interceptions or something absurd like that. If he has a year like that, great, but you can't realistically head into the season expecting that. And one other thing that was swept under the rug during 2021, which winning a Super Bowl will certainly limit the criticism or at least have people turn their head to it, is how often Stafford has turned the ball over since becoming a Ram. He tied with Trevor Lawrence for leading the NFL in interceptions in 2021 with 17, and was on pace to throw for 15 had he played all 17 games this year. And in the 9 games Stafford played, the Rams played 3 teams that would go on to win a playoff game and ultimately played 4 playoff teams. The teams that won a playoff game that the Rams played were the Bills, the 49ers twice, and the Cowboys. And in these 4 games, LA was 0-4 and lost by double digits in not one of those games, but all 4. The average score of these games was 27-10, and to make matters worse, 3 of them were at home. The 3 wins the Rams had while Stafford played in 2022 were against the Falcons, Cardinals, and Panthers, all of which have top 10 draft picks. And I don't think this is being talked about enough. The Rams could not protect Stafford at all in 2022, and in the 9 games he played, he was sacked 4 times or more in 4 of the 9 games. And given pass rush is so heavily emphasized and why it's so talked about in terms of winning a championship, I don't think it should come as a surprise that the Bills, 49ers, and Cowboys all sacked Stafford 4 or more times, with the 49ers and Bills getting him 7 times apiece. And even when they played the Bucs, the 4th playoff team they played, which was yet another Rams loss, the Bucs sacked Stafford 4 times too. I think there's this belief heading into 2023 that the Rams are going to be alright, and they just had a down year due to injury and they'll be back, but I don't think that's even close to reality. They played the 49ers twice, a team they're going to have to beat in order to win their division, which is of course the first step to getting back to the Super Bowl, let alone win the Super Bowl, and they put up just 23 points combined and suffered 2 double-digit losses. And to be clear about something, while I do think there is a lot to be concerned with for the Rams' future, I don't see any way they lose to the Cardinals next year, especially if they play them both times before Kyler Murray returns. A healthy Rams roster is far more talented than the Cardinals roster, especially without Kyler. We're already hearing a ton of Jalen Ramsey rumors, and he will more than likely be dealt in the next few weeks. And lost within Ramsey being dealt is the Rams have their second corner and 2 starting safeties as unrestricted free agents. Troy Hill, Taylor Rapp, and Nick Scott are all free agents, and as you can probably guess, with a star-filled roster like the Rams have, there's not a lot of money to go around. They already cut linebacker Bobby Wagner to save $5 million, and I very much worry the 2023 Rams are going to be Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, and everyone else. Having to replace one position in the secondary is hard enough, let alone the possibility of having to replace 4 with both starting corners and both safety positions. And the chemistry between these players is going to take some time to build. You don't just walk into week 1 like you do week 15 and know what your teammates are going to do in specific situations and how they're going to react to certain coverages and everything along these lines. They also need another pass rusher, as Aaron Donald can't do it all, and Leonard Floyd is owed $22 million for the 2023 season. He's a solid pass rusher, but not one offensive lines legitimately fear, and certainly not a 14 or 15 sack guy per season. He has 29 sacks in 3 years in LA, and I'm not trying to discredit Floyd as much as it is to say he's not a legit number 1 pass rusher, and he's not. We have 7 years of production to show this. He is now also on the wrong side of 30, and what I anticipate the Rams try to do is somehow, someway trade for another pass rusher. If they don't make the trade for Von Miller during the 2021 season, I don't think they win the Super Bowl. And because they're going to have to replace Jalen Ramsey, or at least we think they will have to replace Jalen Ramsey, my guess is they're going to try and load up on the pass rush so the new secondary players have less time to cover opposing receivers. A good pass rush can be a secondary's best friend, and because replacing all 4 starters in the back end of the defense in one offseason is a seemingly impossible task, they will try and prevent those guys from being put in bad situations as much as they can. And in the Ramsey trade, even if the Rams get a first-round pick back for him and actually use the first-round pick, this would be their first time picking in the first round since Jared Goff back in 2016, and if they use the pick on a corner, the rookie corner is not going to be as good as Jalen Ramsey in year 1. Hell, he probably won't be as good as Jalen Ramsey ever, as Jalen is a 6-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time first-team All-Pro, and those guys do not grow on trees. It's not as simple as plugging and playing this first-round pick and replacing Jalen and saying, we will be good as a team in the long run and have a 7-year starter that will rack up Pro Bowls and All-Pros. And not only do they have to get a whole new secondary, they have to fill another hole created by the release of Bobby Wagner. And what I think a lot of opposing defenses will do in 2023, or their game plan heading into each week, is to essentially double team Cooper Kupp and try and win in the trenches with just 4 pass rushers. It worked quite a bit in 2022, and without draft capital to trade for a whole new offensive line, why wouldn't it work in 2023? And San Francisco's defense is going to be tough, not just for the Rams to beat, but for every team because of how dominant they are up front. They are especially tough to beat for the Rams, though, because their offensive line is, well, not very good. In fact, it's far from it. In the 2 games they played in 2022 against the 49ers, that is, the Rams ran the ball a combined 39 times and rushed for a total of 113 yards. This averaged out to 2.9 yards per carry, and stop me if you've heard this before, but Matt Stafford does not have a run game. What will benefit Stafford this time around, though, is having one of the best coaches in the NFL and one of the best offensive minds in the league. But Sean McVay cannot win a championship with this current roster they have. At the moment, they only have 6 total draft picks, though 2 are expected to be added as compensatory picks. And out of those 6 selections, only 2 are in the top 100, which is their second round pick at number 36 overall, and their third round at number 69 overall. Because of all of the money they have tied up in Stafford, Kupp, and Donald, they have no choice but to run it back in 2023. The Rams signed Stafford to a 4-year, $160 million extension, and given he won a Super Bowl in his first season with the team, after giving up 2 first-round picks, plus their previous starter in Jared Goff, they really had no choice but to give him an extension. Aaron Donald is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner and a Hall of Famer 5 years after he retires, and Cooper Kupp is one of the best receivers in the NFL. You have to pay these guys. However, Stafford will play this season at 35, and I worry, given how long he's been in the league and how many hits he's taken over the past 13 years, that we start to see him slow down at some point. Donald has flirted with retirement and will be 32 at the start of the year. At some point, he too will regress. And I firmly believe no matter the result of the 2023 season, this upcoming year will be Sean McVay's final season coaching the Rams. And for McVay, it makes a lot of sense, as instead of working 85 plus hours a week during the season, and for however many hours out of season on watching film and incorporating plays into his offense and how to win another Super Bowl, McVay could walk into any media job of his choosing and get paid a hefty chunk of change. And the good news for him is he's only 37 years old. He can walk away a year from now, take a few years off, or really till the job he desires most becomes available, then start coaching again at 41 or 42 or whenever, and because of the success he's had, and because of how many teams have tried to hire the quote-unquote next Sean McVay, he will always be the top candidate available. And how all of this plays into the title of today's video of the Los Angeles Rams' future is extremely concerning. For their sake, I am so glad they won a Super Bowl, because I think this franchise is in a situation similar to the Falcons post-2016. Atlanta did make the playoffs in 2017, but have not been back since. They had an aging quarterback in Matt Ryan slowly wither, and I think Matt Stafford will be much of the same. Stafford's contract does not do the Rams any favors, and them trading a lot of their picks away does not help either. The Rams' method of building a team, you can argue, worked because they won it all, and good for them, but the aftermath in the next few years are not going to be pretty. This may have come across in a way that makes it look like I dislike Matthew Stafford, and I don't. I like Matt Stafford and was glad he got a ring after dealing with years upon years of frustration in Detroit. I just have a lot of concerns with a 35-year-old quarterback who has a fairly extensive injury history with a bad offensive line, and a quarterback that missed a lot of time in 2022. 17 games is a very long season and a long time to protect a quarterback, and I think the Rams are going to be in for a long next couple of years. And that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world and help a ton. And until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.